Hi, welcome to Dwayne's Guitar Lessons. I'm instructor Dwayne Jenkins. In today's video lesson, we're going to talk about some of the techniques that Angus Young uses to tear it up on the guitar. So if you like AC/DC, you like Angus Young, you want to learn about how to play like him, we'll take a few minutes of your time and we'll take a look at how to tear it up like AC/DC.
Audio Jungle.
Alright, now a few of the things that we want to think about with Angus Young. We want to really get the AC/DC tone and everything. Number one, right off the bat, is Angus Young uses a Gibson guitar, plugs it into a Marshall. Okay, he doesn't plug into a bunch of effects and stuff. Now, of course, when he's playing stadiums and stuff, he might, for better enhanced sound. But if he was just playing at a bar or something, he would set up his Marshall amp, pull out his Gibson, plug his cable straight into the amp, get his tone, and there it is. Straight up Marshall tone, Gibson plugged into a Marshall. So if you want to sound like AC/DC, you like that AC/DC sound, you want to get you a Gibson or an Epiphone, you probably get an Epiphone, and plug it into a Marshall, okay? Get you a Marshall amp. That's going to give you that classic rock sound. Don't even mess with all that other stuff, okay? Get you a Marshall. That's what's going to give you the AC/DC tone, okay? Number two, for Angus Young, one of the things that he uses, he's a master of, is the pentatonic scale, okay? Pentatonic wizard he is, all right? He uses that common, it's a very common scale. I would recommend you learn it. Everybody, it goes like this. Okay, you learn that all over the fretboard. That's like #1 scale that everybody uses in their solos, okay? Angus Young uses this to the hilt, okay? Let me give you an example of the solo that he plays in Shook Me All Night Long. It's right here in the key of G minor. It's right here. And notice how these licks are right here in this box pattern, okay? It goes. Now that's not the whole solo, that's just the first part, but as you can clearly see, all those notes are right there in that pattern. So make sure you master that pattern, okay? That right there is going to help you out a lot to learn how to play like Angus Young, okay? Number two, another thing that Angus Young uses is he uses what's called double stops. 2-note chords, okay? Stuff like, stuff like that, okay? So here's an example of him using double stops in part of the solo to Hell's Bells, okay? He's doing something like this. Okay, you see how I did that? So it was like a 9/8, played twice, and then you went to a 7/7, which we just barred on the second and third string. Then we went back to the 9/8, second and third string, and then moved up to the 11/10. So double stops, okay? He uses a lot of that stuff like a 7, okay, right here. All right. Number two, he uses unison bends, okay? This is a very common technique in blues guitar. And Angus Young, AC/DC, straight up rock and roll blues. Notice how it just gives it that sound, as opposed to just bending one note. You bend two of them. Okay. Another thing that he uses that's real common is vibrato. Okay, so he'll actually use these kind of techniques together. So you got the double stop, you got the bend, and you got the vibrato. Okay, so like in that, for instance, in that Hell's Bells solo I was showing you a little bit ago here, we're going to use a little vibrato to the chords now. We're going to play the chords and use a little vibrato. So now we're going to go. So it just gives a little bit of taste to it, taste to the notes, okay? Adds a little spice to it. So you want to master that as well. Master your vibrato, because he uses that a lot in his songs, Okay? And vibrato is a technique that takes a while to get. It doesn't come overnight. You just basically grab the string, you pick it, wiggle it up and down like that, okay? Once again, adds a little spice to the note. And that's what we're trying to do. Add a little spice, a little character to the note, because you don't want to just go, and that's fine, you know, in some instances. But when you add your bends, your vibratos, you know, your slides, stuff like that, then it really starts to, you know, it starts to take off and sound like something really, really cool. Okay, so that's very, very important. All right. Another thing that he uses with his solos that's real important, and he has more of a rhythm style to his solos. You know, on some of his songs, you know, something like Whole Lotta Rosie is really tearing it up. But on a lot of his solos, like Back in Black and Shook Me All Night Long, Hell's Bells, For Those About to Rock, he uses in more of a rhythmic style solo, okay? So instead of, you know, going like this, you know, a million notes a minute, you know, he's doing some with a little more style, a little more of a rhythmic to it, you know? See how there's rhythm there? You know, same thing with Back in Black. See how he's using kind of, there's like a rhythm going on there, you know, like once again with that Highway to Hell one, or Highway to Hell is another one, okay? I was going to say Hell's Bells, but you know what I'm talking about, okay? Highway to Hell, same thing. That unison bend, vibrato. See how there was like a rhythm there? It's almost like a song within the song. So you want to master that kind of stuff, okay? He's not just tearing it up on a bunch of notes. He's actually playing like a rhythm within the song, okay? So when you're playing solos, think about that kind of stuff. When you're trying to approach playing AC/DC songs or trying to get a solo down by Angus Young, think about these things. Think about these 6 techniques that we've talked about. Number 1, or these 5 techniques, I guess you could say. Number 1, your minor pentatonic scale, okay? Another thing that's real common that he does too is he'll play here, then he'll come up here and play up here. Same position, just in the, you know, in the 2nd octave. That's why you have 2 dots here, because this is the end of the octave and then it starts over again. So any dot here is the same note here. Okay, so if you're playing in G here, you can play the same up here. That's a very common thing. A lot of guitar players do that. They'll play here, then they'll come here and play up here in the same position, okay? So if you just know that one pattern, I'd recommend you learn all 5 of the minor pentatonic scales, or the pentatonic scales, period. They're both minor and major, but there's 5 of them. I recommend you learn them. If you want to find out more about those, you can check them out on my website. I actually have an article on that. Anyway, and I made some videos on some of this stuff, so check out my channel, my YouTube channel. It's at dwaynesguitarlessons.com. If you go to the video section, you'll see all my videos on all kinds of great techniques to help you with your guitar playing. All right, so that's a really common thing to do, okay? So number 1, we want the minor pentatonic scale. Learn that really, really well, up and down. Use it in both positions, okay? I would recommend learning the other 4 patterns to go along with it too. Number 2, double stops. Work on your double stops. He uses a lot of that stuff. You know, listen for that when you're listening to his songs, his solos. You'll hear them in there. They're in there, okay? Number 3, the unison bends, okay? You know. Very common in the blues it's very common. It's a very common blues technique, okay? So get that down. And then vibrato, you gotta get some vibrato, that's really important. You know. Okay? That really adds some spice to the notes, alright? And then of course, the last one, have some rhythm to the playing. Listen for the rhythm of his solos, because his solos are very rhythmic. You know, they're not just a bunch of notes flinging all over the fretboard. On a couple songs maybe, like Whole Lotta Rosie's tearing it up on that one. But a lot of his songs, you know, Let There Be Rock is a great one. It's got a little rhythm to it. It's got some rhythm going on there, you know. Learn those rhythms. Think rhythm, okay, with Angus Young. Don't think just tearing it up. you know, like a lot of like shredder guitar players. He's more of a rhythmic blues kind of guitar player, you know. So think rhythm and timing. It's very, very important, okay? All right, so there you have it. Some common techniques used by Angus Young of AC/DC. So if you want to play like AC/DC, want to play like Angus, want to try to figure out some of his solos, I'd recommend honing in on some of those techniques, okay? Make sure you get you at least a Gibson or a Marshall or something similar to that. It doesn't necessarily have to be that, but some with the double humbucker pickups, give you a nice fat sound, plug you into a Marshall. Get a Marshall, I'm telling you. You can't go wrong with Marshall. Too many great guitar players that play through Marshall. Get a Marshall. I'll leave some links below where you can check them out. Check out those links. They have a bunch of different types of Marshalls, you know, different models, but just get a Marshall. I'm telling you, you can't go wrong with Marshall, okay? And once again, the minor pentatonic scale, both positions, learn that. Learn all 5 of them, actually, I would recommend you do that. Your double stops at your 2-note chords. Your unison bends is very important, okay? Vibrato, you gotta master that. That's very important. And then the rhythmic style of his solos, okay? Think about that. His solos are pretty hard to get sometimes because of the fact of that specific reason. You know, he's got some notes that hang for a little while, then he goes a little bit more, and some notes are fast, and then some sections are slow, and he does this kind of thing with his solo, and that's what makes it really, really cool, okay? So get those things down, and I guarantee that you will be sounding like Angus, or at least be able to play his kind of techniques, and then you put some of that stuff into your solos, okay? All right, so thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Be sure to visit my website at dwaynesguitarlessons.com. Check out my guitar club. It's through the email. You just sign up. It's free, and I'll send you a lot of exclusive training tips to help you out with your guitar playing, some techniques, some of these ones we've talked about here, and a bunch of other stuff too as well. Really help you out with your guitar playing. And be sure to check out the links below because I'll have them in there. And subscribe to the channel. Like this. Hit the bell for future notifications. You know, all that good stuff. And until our next lesson, you take care. Keep practicing, and we'll see you next time.